I vividly remember when I received the message 2 years ago that would change my career. I was outside in my yard, putting around like I usually do, and I heard this unusual ding on my cell phone. And it wasn't the sound that my phone typically makes when I get a text message. It was different, but it was still a little familiar. And then I remembered that it was the notification for an app called WhatsApp. And for those of you who are not familiar with WhatsApp, it's an app for your phone that a lot of people use to communicate internationally, so they don't have to pay those pesky roaming and data charges to the cell phone companies. And at the time, I did not receive a lot of WhatsApp messages. And usually the only ones that I did get were from my buddy Mark, who had moved to Australia a few years earlier. And this message was not from Mark. It was from an unknown international sender. And so I was intrigued. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but basically the message said, "Hi Geoff, this is Khaled. You met my friend Malik at a smart city reception last month, and he suggested that I reach out to you. And we have an interesting proposal for you. Do you have any time to chat next week?" And now I'm definitely intrigued, thinking, okay, what is this proposal? And that WhatsApp message resulted in a series of conversations that then led to a job offer with a Dutch tech company in a really exciting role, working with really innovative technologies. And I believe that my networking skills played a big part in making it all happen. And I'm going to come back to that in a second. But first, based on what I just shared with you, I don't think it's going to be a big surprise to you that I am a huge advocate of professional networking, because I think it just provides a ton of positive benefits. And it's literally for anybody. I don't care what your job is. I don't care what your career field is. It literally can be for anybody. And let me take a quick second and just explain what I mean by networking. So when I refer to networking, professional networking, I'm referring to the process of building and maintaining mutually beneficial relationships with other folks that are in your career field or a related field. And I know that networking can get a bad rap. A lot of people, when they think about networking, they think that maybe it's a little pushy, it can be a little salesy, maybe a work happy hour comes to mind and people are standing around and they're eating cold mozzarella sticks and you're having small talk with people that you have absolutely nothing in common with. Or maybe you're at a work conference and you're passing out your business cards to strangers as they walk by your booth. But I don't think those are very good examples of networking, because networking is not about small talk and it's not about selling. Networking is about developing mutually beneficial relationships with other people. And I'm really zeroing in on mutually beneficial here, because I think that networking is most effective when it's not about you. It's not about selling. It's about creating an active connection with somebody else. And you're providing valuable information to that person and you're providing support. And I'm going to give you what I think is a really good example of that. So when I graduated college, my very first job, I went to my very first work conference. And this is very exciting to me. I've never been to a conference before. So there's a lot of presenters and there's technologies and there's a lot of free food and drink at these conferences, which is also very exciting to a recent college graduate who's on a budget. So I'm at one of these conference receptions and I'm there with my boss, Jay. And Jay is very good at starting conversations with strangers. So Jay and I are standing at the bar waiting for a drink, and Jay strikes up a conversation with the gentleman next to us. And I don't remember the name of the gentleman, but we'll call him Tim. And Jay starts talking to Tim and he says, "How do you like the conference? What do you think is good about it? What's bad about it? What do you do?" And Jay starts talking, and he's telling us what his thoughts are on the conference, and he's sharing his role, and he's sort of opening up about what his challenges are and where he's having success. And I'm watching Jay, and Jay's listening intently to Tim as he's talking. And then there's a pause, and Jay looks at Tim and he goes, "Hey, I think I can help you." And then I look over at Tim, and I see this surprised look on Tim's face, and he says, "Well, yeah, well, let's definitely talk about that." And so then I watch Jay, with a drink in his hand, start to talk to Tim very naturally, talking about articles that he's seen that he thinks might be interesting to Tim, and that he's going to send them, we had email at the time, so he's going to email them links to these articles. He's spouting off names of folks that he is going to connect Tim with, that he thinks can help him with different parts of his business and some of the challenges that he's facing. So really, really informative. And in that, just that brief interaction at this reception, there was a creation of a professional relationship between Jay and Tim that lasted many years. And honestly, it was still going when I left that company 5 years ago, which was amazing. And they did business together, which was great, but they did a lot of things that weren't even related to business. They leveraged each other's professional expertise. They were experts in different areas of the industry, so they leveraged that. They leveraged each other's professional and personal networks. So what started out as 2 people interacting grew to like 20 or 30 people sharing ideas. So I just think that's a great example of a professional relationship. And I learned a ton from Jay. I've been talking about face-to-face networking, but I do want to say that a lot of this can happen not in the face-to-face environment. You can use email, you can use the phone. Social media is great. Tools like LinkedIn. And in fact, one of my very favorite network activities is sending emails to my connections with a link to an article that I found that I think they might find interesting. So I'll literally find an article, maybe about a new technology, and I'll think, oh my gosh, Amanda might be interested in that because Amanda's working on a project and I think that technology could be really relevant. So I'll fire off an email and I'll just say, "Hey Amanda, I came across this article. Sounds like this technology might be interested to you. Just passing it to you, thinking of you. No reply needed." And that's something else that I learned from Jay, because Jay always said, don't reach out to somebody only when you need them. And I think that's a really good lesson that holds true both in business and in life. And so when I look back on that reception where I met Malik at the Smart City reception that ultimately led to the job with the Dutch tech company, I like to think that the seeds were planted at that reception with Jay many years earlier, because I remember sharing with Malik, "Hey, I think I can help you." And so I think this helped you all as well. And I hope I did a great job, or a decent job, articulating that as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Geoff.